My name's Donna. I have a younger brother who was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia nearly 20 years ago. He was very good at stuff. He was very good at football. He was good at stuff at school. He was very musical. He still is musical. And he was very close to my dad because my dad was very musical. So he did grades in trumpet. My dad played the clarinet, so it was like kind of a big thing for them both. When he was about 14, my mum died of cancer. And then unfortunately when he was 16, my dad died in a motorway crash. He started to kind of dabble in drugs as a way of coping, really. So I guess we thought some of the things that were happening, the symptoms, were drug-related. And I think it finally came to a head. We suddenly realised something was really wrong when I got a call from the police one day, and they said my brother had asked me to go to the police station. And I went, and he was clearly really, really ill. And the landlord called the police because he tried to cut all the electrics in the house. He was playing music, and he said the BBC was taping his music through the electrical things in the house. The psychiatrist phoned up to tell me some part of, we were trying to sort out accommodation, and she said, "Oh, you do know that's a symptom of schizophrenia though, don't you?" And I said, "Sorry? What do you mean?" And she said, "You know your brother has paranoid schizophrenia." And I said, "Well, no, actually, I didn't know that." And I think because my parents weren't alive, I felt very responsible for him, really. There wasn't really anyone else. My brother was too far away and stuff, so I felt very responsible for him. I guess over the years, there have been times when we've been very close, normally when he's stable, and there have been times when our relationship has been very difficult and very strained. And I have to be honest, I'd like to say that I'm a saint, but I'm not. There are times when he's ill, when I'm hugely resentful that I have to do these things, that I didn't have a choice. I feel very angry. I feel guilty that I can't just do it without feeling those things. I feel extremely sad sometimes. That in many ways he's lost so much. But then when he's well and we're getting on, he's just another part of the family, you know. Slightly eccentric. But, you know, he's very much part of our family and everything, really. That kind of pattern I used to get in for years, where I'd just kind of be overwhelmed by this sadness, really. I don't really know why, but I'm crying now, but over the years that's actually got better, actually. I think I can see that he does have periods of stability, and he has some kind of life then, and he enjoys things. And I think also I'm more realistic about what I can do, which means I feel less resentful and angry and upset about it. I try to focus on the practical things rather than becoming overwhelmed by the emotions. I try to think, right, okay, he's ill again, what can we do now? We can sort this and this out, and if I can't do this, I need to ring this person, and that kind of helps. When he first moved in, I used to go over once a week and clean and go with him and get shopping and, you know, sort out appointments if they got in the middle and stuff like that. That changed a couple of years ago when I had to become his appointee, and things changed quite a lot then, really. He would just have no electricity. He wouldn't have lights or heating or anything. He wouldn't have food. He'd have people turning up at his flat when he got his DLA, kind of saying, "Oh, let's go out for a meal and a drink," and he'd fund it, and he'd have no money, and this went on for quite some time. And it got to the point actually where it felt cruel to leave him like that, actually. So we kind of made a decision as a family that we needed to do something, but initially I didn't know what to do. I knew it might be difficult, but I think I hadn't understood how difficult it would be for him to give up that control, really. He hasn't got much control in his life, and that was a really hard thing to give up. I think it's made a huge difference to his life. I think his quality of life is improved tremendously because I manage all his bills, so he always has electricity, everything he needs, phone. I set up a incoming calls thing only, so he's got lots of things, much better for him. And I put money in bits in his account each week, so he's never without money more than a day, even if he blows it all. So that's better, and I think once he got used to it, it's actually improved his health because there's more stability and, you know, just he's got the basic things. In terms of our relationship, it was awful to begin with. He's never been, it's hard to talk about this because people think schizophrenia, violence. Actually, he's never been violent, but since this happened, he kind of assaulted me twice, tried to crash my car when I was driving, became very threatening and abusive towards me, and it was really distressing, and there was a long period, months, when I didn't see him and I didn't speak to him because I just couldn't handle it. And it was very frightening. I'm 5 foot, he's 6 foot. But actually it's got better. Over time it's got better. He's got more used to it, and he understands that if he shouts at me or is threatening, I just don't see him anymore. I've learnt, which has taken me a long time, is setting yourself some boundaries, really. And it's taken me a long time to do that, to say, actually, I'm prepared to do this, or I can do this if he's like this. But actually, if he's like this with me, or if I've got this going on in my life, I just can't do that, actually. I just can't do it anymore. And not feeling guilty about that, really. And in some ways, that's kind of freed me up, really, because I know I can do some things really well, and just some things are too hard, or I'm not able to do them. Until 7 years ago, I'd never had any kind of mental health problems at all. And then 7 years ago, completely out of the blue, there were very, looking back I can see there were warning signs, but I didn't recognise them at the time. But in terms of my acute illness, it happened very quickly. It was devastating, and I genuinely felt like my life was over, really. I thought I was going to lose everything. And I did have a period where I thought about suicide quite a lot. Thankfully, I never did anything, and I'm okay, but I did. Second time was kind of worse, really, because it wasn't a blip. And third time, harder in terms of jobs and having to find another job and stuff, but actually easier in a way, because it's taken me this long to realise that actually I get better, I get completely better. I recover, it all goes. It's hard, but it all goes. You know, husband hasn't deserted me, kids are okay, I can work. It doesn't have to be a death sentence, although it can feel like it when it happens, really. I truly believe it takes a lot of strength, actually, to deal with psychosis. I think my psychosis, there were periods when I was kind of a bit manic and hyper and happy, and that was lovely, but there were periods where it was really scary and frightening. And I know for my brother, a lot of his psychosis is very frightening. Some of the things he imagines, you know, like nuclear wars and people being murdered and really scary, frightening stuff. And I think that bit I understand better. I kind of understand how awful and scary and distressing that is sometimes in a way that I didn't understand before. And in some ways that's good, because I'm more compassionate, I think. And also I genuinely respect him more for it, because I have my family around me, and I've had a job, and I've got all sorts of support in place. And even then, I found it very hard. And my brother doesn't have any of those things. He's a single person, he lives alone. So how he copes, and it happens to him a lot more, I honestly don't know, really. And I'm on antipsychotic medication, and it's taken a while to find one that works, but it works very well for me. You know, there are side effects. I've put on about a stone since I've been on it. It's hard to get up in the morning. Those things aren't easy. But it means I can lead a normal life, you know, so. And there's treatments that help people, talking therapies and all sorts of things. So I think it's really important that people understand that people have hope, actually, both for themselves if they're ill, and if they have a relative, you know, don't give up and think that's the end, because it isn't.